All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out so everybody can join in here. 1 second. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. All right, let me make sure the sound's coming through okay here. Good, good, good. Fantastic. All right, well, I hope everybody had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. What a nice opportunity to get some rest and kind of catch up, study the market a little bit, check charts, and enjoy family and friends and all that stuff and get a little bit of rest, right? So good stuff there. We got a short week this week. Should be pretty interesting. So we've had an interesting week so far last week. So let's get started. So this week we're gonna be talking about day trading Elliott Wave. As you know, we've done a series on Elliott Wave in the past, and we've talked about Elliott Wave techniques in the past. We've got a few playlists in the YouTube from the Elliott Wave one if you kind of scroll all the way back. But we've also talked about triangles and flats and gotten to a little bit more depth in Elliott Wave. This week we're going to talk about Elliott Wave because we've seen some great trades recently on the day trading basis. So kind of want to talk about that. And today we're going to highlight SPY with some of the Elliott Wave work that we did on Thursday and Friday, and how it helped us find some great trades. And then we'll take a look at some other stuff that has been setting up very interesting on the day trade side, and maybe we'll catch something that happens relevant this week too, so that'll be good too. Before we get started, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice, so please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. So what we're going to do is we're going to check and see where we left off with the market on Friday, and then we are going to take a look at the futures and see what we might have in store going into tonight and tomorrow. And then we'll take a look at the topic, and then we'll go through questions and chart requests. So let's get started. So we got SPX here. So quite an interesting start to the month. Right, so we've had one full week, so one full trading week so far in September, and you can see the monthly chart has already pushed below the upper Bollinger Band right here. We've had a pretty epic run up since the Corona crash, and just kind of an ominous start to the month right here, but we'll see how that goes. Weekly chart, not quite a full bearish engulfing week. I know it looks like, hey John, this whole candle is engulfing this candle, but technically the bearish engulfing candle needs to, the real body needs to engulf the prior real body, right? But so I mean, it's not looking stellar, right? We got a big red candle here that the whole range of the candle is over this range, but the real body is not quite. So it's technically not a bearish engulfing candle, but it's still a little bit sketchy. It's also a big red spinning top too, so it's like, okay, which way does this thing really want to go? So we'll see how that goes. Daily chart. Okay, so the main stuff on the daily chart, right? So here's the big move since the Corona crash. Right, so we finally broke down below the upward trend line, and they did it with some authority. We talked about on Thursday, big red candle here that got to the upper trend line, right? So we basically have been tracking this, to see how it handled this trend line right here. We talked about on Thursday night. We said, just keep watch this, all right? Watch this level right here. If we lose this level, we could see a momentum move down, and we did. And then it just kind of calmed down a little bit, found some support in this congestion area right here, and then bounced off of that, right? So we had a nice recovery day, at the end of the day on this one. So decent, buy the dip on that. But we're still stuck in the trend box, right? So we have a big lower shadow right here. We're not fully bearish on the market yet, until we can really confirm below this stuff with some good volume. So right now, this seems to be just kind of basically just chopping around. So that being said, let's take a look at the price action on Friday, and then we'll take a look at the topic, which we'll get into a little bit more deeply when we look at the Elliott Wave on it. So again, big down move on Thursday, and then we got that follow through. Here's that move through through Thursday's lows. They gave us a real nice momentum move to the downside, right? Gave us double inside 15, chopped around for a little bit, and then just kind of slowly higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, just worked its way back up into the end of the day, right? So some pretty cool stuff. They didn't make it real nice at the close, right? I think there was a good MOC on this. I think a decent MOC on the sell side too, but pretty tricky over a Labor Day weekend because any shenanigans could happen. News, right? President had already had a press conference today with futures, like when futures were closing, right? All that stuff. So we had that stuff going on. So we'll see where we open. I think futures are actually green right now, so we'll take a look at that in a little bit here. But you can see here again the levels that we provide to our members before each market opens. So you can see how important these were. Once we lost a couple of these key levels, right, we definitely tested some of those. Then we found like this 3-level congestion area right here, cluster, and that gave us a nice higher high, higher low off of that, and then a decent buy the dip opportunity here into the end of the day before they just kind of did a little bit of a down move at the close. So good stuff there. So let's take a look at the S&P futures and see how they're behaving here this evening. Then we'll get into the topic. So S&P futures, again, they were open, of course, on Sunday and into Monday at 1 o'clock because of the holiday, right? And then they opened up again tonight. So here we are. So we've got some Monday action going, so this is Monday night action right now going on here. So we'll see how that goes into Tuesday, right, into tomorrow, a fresh day today. So one of the big things, the big kind of note right here is just that we've been channeling back up since the, basically since after Friday after the close, right? We gave this nice push down here, right, on Sunday night, and then rallied back up, and then back down, and then we got this nice channel right here. So we're kind of finding a little bit of a reversal right here towards the top of the channel. So we've definitely been chopping here tonight, but we are up, right? So the futures are up about 18 points right now, and continuing to channel upward into tomorrow. So we'll see how these levels hold going into that, right? So good stuff. So let's take a look here. Let's go to the topic here. And this week we're going to be talking about day trading Elliott Wave. And so Elliott Wave is a real cool technique developed by an accountant back in the early 1900s, R.N. Elliott. Right? I believe he got really sick, and when he was sick, he got really, really interested in the market and tried to determine some patterns with it that were consistent, right, and made sense. And then, of course, Robert Prechter, wrote a big book on it, kind of rediscovered all the stuff and really popularized it. And it is cool, right? It does give us some cool techniques to use and some good guidance intraday if you're looking for moves. So today we're gonna talk about SPY. Before we do, obviously I said, you can definitely go check out our videos on Elliott Wave, but just to kind of give a quick summary of it, right? There's three main rules of Elliott Wave, right? And basically, it's everything moves in waves, right? And so the main impulsive wave is a 5-wave move. So you have a wave up, right? A wave down, a wave up, right? A wave down, and a final wave up to complete a full wave, right? So it's a 5-wave move. And so wave 1 is the first wave, right? So that is it's an impulsive wave, and each impulsive wave is made up of another 5-wave move. So there's within here, right? There's also a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Your wave 2 is your pullback move. This the first rule is that wave 2 can never go beyond the start of wave 1. So if wave 2 were to carry all the way down here, right, and then kind of make this move up, it is not a valid wave count, right? So you just kind of have to dig into that and see how that looks, right? All wave 2, all pullback moves, whether you're going up or down or snapback moves, are ABC formations. So this is a 1, 2, 3, an ABC. So it's as easy as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and ABC, right? So there's your wave 1, there's your wave 2. Wave 3, the next rule is wave 3 is never the shortest wave. Oftentimes it is the longest wave, but not all the time. As long as it's not the shortest wave, it's still a valid wave count. And then wave 4, the third and final rule. There's a lot of guidelines with Elliott Wave because because the market is not perfect, right? So it's perfect in its own way, right? But it doesn't follow just a 5th wave move, altogether. But there's different styles of pullbacks, things like that. And different guidelines that you can use. But we just focus on the main stuff, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then of course your 5th wave works its way back up. But the third rule is that that wave 4 will not intersect wave 1, right? So an invalid wave count in that case would be if wave 4 went just here, right, just below that wave 1 high, right, and that would be an invalid wave. Right, and because wave 4 crossed over wave 1, and then if wave 3 happened to be the shortest wave here, right, kind of like this, activate, that would not be a valid wave count, right? So what we're showing is that this is not truly an impulsive wave. It's probably some sort of zigzag formation, right? Which is a different type. That zigzags, of course, beyond the scope of this week's discussion, right? So so that's the basics of Elliott Wave, right? So what we look for is we look for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that follows these rules, and then we go from here. So you can see already that we found some nice Elliott waves going in both Thursday and Friday on the SPY. And so we'll take a look at those here just in a moment. Let me just clean this up a little bit so we don't have this on our futures chart tomorrow morning. Okay, let's do this and this. Okay, there we go. So so you can see right here, let's go to the SPY. It's a little bit of a cleaner chart right here that we take a look at. So one of the big things that kind of happened this week, right, is we had that nasty pullback, right? And so what we saw is is a pretty decent impulsive wave down. How do you know if you have an impulsive move down? Well, it's usually when things start moving fast, and oftentimes they're easiest to find when we're on the way down, right? So one of the things that we can kind of see here, we can just kind of note that this is a very, very impulsive wave down right here. So clearly, we should be able to label this, right, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But when you get that first leg of the impulsive move down, here's your 1, right? Catching your 2 would be an A, B, C, right? So that would be your wave 2, right? You have another push down right here, and then you can kind of look at this as you could number this a couple of ways, but this is clearly an impulsive wave, right? So here's your wave 3, right? As long as it's not the shortest wave, right, then you get your wave 4, and then your wave 5 right here to kind of finish the impulsive move down. So that was on Thursday. This really helps us, right? When we know we're seeing an impulsive move, we can really use this to catch which are some of the best tradable waves are your wave 3s and your wave 5s, right? And so that really, and then our wave Cs, right, in the ABC correction. So when we go flash forward into Friday, right, we can see that SPY was pretty interesting right here. This is one of the things we pointed out. Here's your big move down on Friday, and then we had this kind of corrective pattern right here, bearish, a bear flag going into Friday morning. Then once we lost that, we lost Friday's lows, right? That really gave us a nice impulsive move down. One cool tool that you can use is your channels, right? If all impulsive waves and corrective waves tend to be held, it's more of a guideline, tend to be contained by channels, right? So once we had this move down on Friday and we started breaking out of this channel, right, we knew that the impulsive move was over, and then we could look for a potential buy the dip opportunity, or try to gauge the buy the dip. So like we said, right, so this was Friday, right? So this was great, right? So this gave you a nice wave 1, this gave you a nice wave 2, right? And then it basically just kind of finished up down here. You can go to the lower term time frames. I think it was like somewhere around here, like 3, and I think this pullback here was 4, right? And it gave a nice wave 5 down. And we walked through this with the group on our live stream on Friday morning, right? And it was a very, very nice trade, right? The options were moving great, and gave us a nice move down. And then we said, once we were out on this, we're like, okay, once it started to recover like this, we're like, okay, we're probably in some sort of corrective phase. And then once we broke out of this channel right here, we knew that corrective phase was in progress, right? So when we talk about trading wave 5 right here, we could get a nice pullback right here. You can get in wave 5, wave 2 pullback, get a nice wave 3. Getting into wave 1 is tough because we don't necessarily know if it's starting to impulse, but if it pulls back off that wave down, we can try to catch that wave 3 with a nice low risk, high reward opportunity. I mean, just real simple stuff right here. I mean, inside 5 down off of that, right? So a nice move there, and then of course here's your corrective pattern, right? We recovered up. So what we would expect there is a wave B down, which is what we got here, right? And this is why we like to trade wave C as well, because sometimes wave C finishes itself up and then continues into a fresh wave to the upside, right? So we can start to see that right here, that this turned into basically like a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and just basically started to impulse its way back up. So that's why we like to jump into that wave C type pattern, that wave C wave as well, because oftentimes they can transform into an impulsive wave. So I know it's a lot to digest here, just in the first one, but we're going to go over more of these going into the rest of the week. We're going to talk about probably stocks like Tesla, AMD, some ones that really impulse intraday, and we'll talk about some more tools that we can use to help us find these entries really, really nicely. So good stuff. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window, and we'll get through as many as we can and try to wrap up as early as possible so we can all have a good night's sleep and another awesome trading day tomorrow. So let me just get this chart cleaned up right here a little bit, and then we'll get started here. So let's get this. Because I get popular one to look at right here. I should have done a clean chart and just use that. But anyway, good stuff. So good. So Shirley is sent a few in via email. So we'll take a look at those first. Again, everybody, thanks for keeping Shirley in your thoughts and prayers as she is getting better every day. So let's take a look at a few of these. So yeah, so Capital One Finance, beautiful move on this one. This is actually on our bullish radar going into Friday. It's moving up nicely. This was actually, I looked to trade this on Friday too with the other banks. but it was the option spreads were really awful on Friday. It was a tricky one. This is kind of more of a swing trading type name. It's got some room here to get to the 200-day moving average. You can see here just Elliott Wave wise, right? You can see how it kind of worked its way up pretty nicely here. You can use pre-market stuff. This was definitely an impulsive wave right here, right? And this was a nice pullback for a wave 2, and we might be working on a bigger wave 3 right here. So let's see if that gets some follow to the upside. So it looks pretty good right here, and it's definitely got room to get to the 200-day moving average. So let's see how that holds going into that. Let's take a look at Abercrombie and Fitch. So nice move off of this one, right? So it wasn't all bearish on Friday. Abercrombie had a nice day, so let's see if that can get some follow through the upside there. We're actually going to put that on the bullish radar too, going into tomorrow. So just give me 1 second and let me add that to the game plan here. 1 sec. Where are we? Woo! Lots of stuff on the list right here. Okay, there we go. So 1 sec. Game plan for Monday. ANF makes the list. Nice find on that one. So that goes there. And we got some pretty cool earnings coming up this week too, so keep an eye on that. And good, great chart. Thanks, Shirley. Appreciate that one. So let's take a look. What else we got? So we got Burl. So Burlington Cofactor. This is a really tough one to trade with options. Spreads can be all over the place. We did have a nice candle right here, nice breakout candle, getting through some decent levels right here. A lot of congestion up here, so I'd still be really careful trading this one. It can chop in this area, but it could be a little bit of a start of a double pause doji sandwich up. So definitely something to keep an eye on, but not one I'd probably be interested in trading just because it can be a little spready. And then not FB, EB. Yeah, so Eventbrite, this could be an interesting one too. It's starting to get out of a major consolidation area right here. It's got an open gap that it can try to fill on. Again, this is not one I typically trade with options, but it is working its way up. It had some pretty decent volume right here, inside day up. Let's see if it can work its way up to its 200-day moving average. Nice stuff there. Good. Omo, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Hope you happy Labor Day to you too. Hope you had a great one. JP Morgan, let's take a look. So JP Morgan, again, not as strong as that COF candle. Not as strong as Capital One there, but definitely the banks have been interesting recently, right? They've given us a lot of good clues into the strength of the market, right? So JP Morgan here off the 200-day moving average recently, trying to break out of these levels, but it really needs a good green candle to get out of there. It's been pretty tradable at the open, but tough to trade, overnight. Baba, interesting right here, guys. So we got pretty close here to that 302 level that we were looking at. It did give us that nice hanging man. We had a lot of good kind of. Take a pause and kind of take a step back and maybe not hold anything overnight type stuff on Wednesday before the big crash. We had a lot of hanging man candles and we had a lot of bearish engulfing candles on Wednesday. That kind of gave us enough, worry to be like, let's just kind of stand back right here. And also the VIX was really high with the market on Wednesday as well, right? So that kind of gave us some, at least we were not surprised that the market pushed its way down, right? It wasn't a full indication that the market was ready to go, but it didn't hurt, right? So, or maybe or however you want to look at it, maybe it did hurt, right? That type of thing. So, anyway, Baba with that hanging man worked its way back down, came back to this level right here, which is our 100% level, and bounced off of that. Looks like got pretty close to filling this gap and a good recovery on that. So let's see if it can work its way back up. Again, guys, we're looking at seeing a lot of these things. This was a triangle breakout type move right here, so it's probably wave 4. This could be wave 5, right? We might be working on a corrective pattern right here, some sort of A, B, and then C, right? So let's see how that goes on this recovery. We might see a little bit of a recovery again on Baba, and we'll look for a potential bounce off of that one. In fact, I'll add it to the bullish risk, but not to the long-term bullish risk on that one. So because it may be gearing up for another pullback on that. So we just have to be cautious with that. Let's take a look. What else? So you got and then FedEx. Yep. So FedEx is still strong, right? So it's still holding on pretty well right here. I love how it's still holding the ADMA. It had one, there's a bearish engulfing candle right here. So the real body engulfed that real body, plus the whole candle was over that whole candle, right? It was bearish right here, and it did get a little bit of follow through, but it held on pretty well. We got earnings coming up on the 16th, which is not this week, but next week. So maybe FedEx will work on a little bit of an earnings run. So good stuff. Thanks, Alma. I really appreciate it. Rand, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning in. Bagesh, what's going on? Hope you had a great long weekend too. Yeah, I hope everybody did as well. It was definitely restful, so that's good. Needed a little bit of a break. Let's get kiddos. Thanks so much, Bagesh. Appreciate it. Keen to learn new strategies and always be alert. Yep, that is the key thing about the market. It doesn't matter how much you think you know. There is always something to learn, right? I mean, just think about doctors, right? I mean, once you become a doctor, right, it's not that you just like you've learned everything in med school, right? You learn by practicing, right, by running your practice, right, and you continue to get better and improve. Same thing with trading, right? So the more you learn, the better, right? And there's always something to learn, right? So we love that. So good stuff. Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for being a great supporter and being a part of it. So really appreciate it. Good. So I think I saw you mention something about Skip and Baba, so we'll skip that right now because we just talked about it. But let's take a look at AMD. So AMD again, similar, right? Similar here as we're looking at. So we got upper trend line right here, a bump line right here, and another bump line right here. Right, it did pretty good at bearish engulfing. See how we saw all these bearish engulfing candles, right? So gapped over the inside day and then took it out, right? And then we gapped below it. So that was a nice down day on AMD, and we also had a nice down day on Friday, and then a good reversal, right? So we held that double inside day range, right? Very obviously a very important area, right? So we bounced off of that, and let's just see how it holds right here. Again, a lot of these moves looking like they're getting ready to do like some sort of an ABC type correction. So let's see how that goes going into this week. It should be a very interesting week. And then Facebook, let's take a look. So Facebook, a little bit of pullback right here. Ended up filling, the open gap and just kind of coming down to like all these levels right here and giving a bounce. So let's see again. I'm seeing a lot of ABC potential on a lot of these names. So Rand, yeah, so let's take a look here. So Tesla, again, one of the only names to actually finish green, right? So over the prior day's close and with a green candle on Friday. Now, it's a little bit sketchy right here too, right? Obviously, it's had an epic run. This could be also working on like an ABC type formation right here too. So we may see a bit of a squeeze right here, and then we might see a pullback over the next couple weeks. But let's just kind of keep an eye on it, see if it breaks over these highs, gets over the 80 MA, and maybe some volume comes in there as well for Tesla. And yeah, good stuff. My pleasure. And then Zoom. Let's replace Baba with Zoom, I guess. Yeah. So Zoom has been great, right? So some of our members we're swinging this from Wednesday, and so a nice move there. Good follow through. Basically, just kind of going for a gap fill on this one because it was pretty extended after the gap right here, but it's kind of hanging in there. Lower shadow held the 80 MA on it, right? So maybe it'll consolidate for a little bit and try to move up. Maybe it'll give us a double inside day, which would be pretty sweet on Zoom. That could be some good stuff. Truth, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, my pleasure. Any opinions on another leg up on WKHS? Well, you guys know how we feel about WKHS. It's a tricky one, right? So big move up, right? Reverse. It'll break your heart, right? So big move up, pull down, right? Big move up. Let's see. This is such a tough one to trade. Again, I would stick to day trading only to see if it gives some nice intraday setups on it, but I'd be really, really careful with swinging this one. And what would you say the top two would be on your watch list for tomorrow? Oh, well, we just added ANF and Baba. Those are looking pretty interesting. So we're really just going to kind of keep an eye. Probably Boeing's going to be on the list with the news tonight. We'll see if that gives any, adds any volatility to it and gives us any day trading type stuff. So those are kind of the big ones that we're probably going to be looking at. And then we'll see what we have in store tomorrow. Maybe we get some upgrades and some sector rotation in the morning that we'll keep an eye on. So good stuff there. Really appreciate it. Thanks for Jameis. What's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, SPX. And yeah, my pleasure. Let's take a look. So SPX. So again, that's the big thing right here is we lost the upward trend line on it, right? And gave us an initial trend box right here. We talked about the momentum move to the downside, right? We just pointed that out tonight. The Elliott Wave action on that one to the downside. So it was a great move down there. And then it recovered, right? Kind of came into this prior inside day range, right? The big congestion area right here and bounced off of it, right? So we're still in the trend box right now. We're not going to be out of it until we can get fresh all-time highs, or if we flush below here and start a trend shift to the downside, right? It's going to be a little bit tricky. You got the 50-day in the cloud right here, but we'll keep an eye on it either way. Otherwise, we might be basically in this corrective pattern. The cool part about it is if you follow along with Elliott Wave and use our trendline techniques, basically the trend box is basically we're in a corrective wave pattern, right? So we may rally, come back down again, and then we just need to see if it starts a fresh wave up to get to the all-time highs, or if it breaks itself down to start a fresh trend down. Okay, so good stuff there. Yeah, my pleasure. Rohit, what's going on? Yeah, so Chewy. So Chewy long term, right? So we got earnings coming up, right? So this week on Thursday after the close or before. Let's take a look here. Thursday after the close. Okay, so we got earnings coming. So they could try to do a little earnings run. We got a geometric line here where we bounced off. They could try to do a little bit of an earnings run. But again, it's been a pretty epic move on Chewy. So it's something to definitely keep an eye on this week. Square, of course. Wow, yeah. So we've been talking about this one a lot. It's just been struggling. Bearish engulfing candle right here, right? We lost these levels and then lost the 80 MA and got a big push down, and it finally found a little support here at the 50-day. So where it's going to go from here, it's tough to say. Like I said, it might work its way back up and back down, and then we'll see where it goes from there in that ABC corrective pattern. So good stuff. Levi, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're well. Shell, yeah. So crazy name. So big lower shut off this one off the 80 MA. So let's see if I can get some sort of push to the upside there. And then CRBP. Again, looks like a pharma name or something. So a little caution there, but just see if we can get over that geometric level on that. Nice stuff. Let's see what's going on. Good to see you. Let's take a look at Costco. Yeah, so Costco had good numbers this week, right? They gapped up, and then they gave a bearish engulfing candle. Got a little fall to the downside on that one. So it did end up closing above this prior resistance pivot, right? So it's kind of holding that area of support. Let's see if we can consolidate there and possibly give a move up on that one. Earnings coming up at the end of the month on Costco. And then Etsy, Levi. Yep. So Etsy, pretty interesting stuff, right? So one of the big things, I know you mentioned it earlier, Rayan, about Tesla. So Tesla is definitely something to keep an eye on the radar. Keep it on the radar. Because they didn't make the S&P 500 this week. Instead, I believe they picked Etsy to add to the S&P 500. So we got a nice gap up after hours on that one. Let's see if it can get some action. Right, so we got Etsy was one of them. So I think maybe it was that other one that you mentioned too, that nobody is ever going to trade with options, right? So it's kind of odd that they picked this stuff over Tesla, but at the same time, it's not necessarily odd because Tesla gets so many credits instead of actual income, right? So or actual revenue, profit. So we'll see how that goes. Going forward with Tesla, it should be, of course, a wild one. And then, of course, you got Piton. Yeah, so Peloton also had an epic run right here. Again, a lot, like I said, guys, a lot of hanging man candles, a lot of bearish engulfing candles on Wednesday, and Piton had an epic run up, right, and a big push down right here. It is holding its 80 MA. It also has earnings coming up this week. Both Chewy and Piton listed on the iBuy ETF. So it's pretty cool stuff. Definitely keep an eye on those there. Alexander, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Does Baba count as a double inside day? On the 28th and the 31st. Yep, if they're both yellow right here, they are definitely inside days, right? Because they're contained by that mother candle, right? The second one here was right here. So it was a nice double inside day up on Tuesday, right? And then Wednesday gave you that hanging man candle and worked its way down. Yep, so definitely a double inside day there. Great find. Chuck, what's going on? Good to see you. Tup, let's take a look. Tupperware. Yeah, look at this thing. Look at this thing. Who'd have thought that Tupperware was the new Fang name, right? So it's cool stuff. But what a great triangle up right here, So it's got potential, right? So if there could be it could be a bit of a symmetrical move up. I mean, depending where you start it, right? It could be right here, and here's kind of that's a pretty big flag. It would have to be down. I would say this would have to be it right here. So we'll see if that can give a possible symmetrical move up right there. But again, possible double pause today, double doji sandwich, and see if that gives a move on top. Great find on that one. Samit, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Let's take a look at HCA. Yep, so Hospital Corporation of America, double inside day right here. Again, let's see if we can break out above those levels. Again, not a huge momentum name, not one I would probably mess with options, but it could give you a breakout of those levels. And then ADS. And ADS, yeah, just kind of chopping around here in the cloud. So basically just getting really kind of tight right here. Yeah, maybe you kind of see it as a little bit of a mini breakout right there, but we'd probably want to see a little bit of a bigger candle try to get it. It's probably starting to just expanding the triangle a little bit. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Good stuff. Yeah, hey, my pleasure, Levi. So one real quick look here at BP. Again, the oil names have been getting a little bit clobbered recently, so this one, no other one too. Good stuff. Gio, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so Cat. Okay, this is one of the only ones that finished like green and with an inside day. So I think it's definitely one to keep on the radar, right? So see if we can break out of that inside day level one way or the other. It's it's definitely working itself up pretty strong right here recently. So let's see if I can give a move. And then PayPal. Again, you guys know I like PayPal. Again, Wednesday, a lot of these hanging man type patterns, and like I said, bearish engulfing patterns too. So gave a push down to here. It couldn't hold the 50, but it did end up bouncing off the cloud. So let's see how that holds going forward. ZS. Epic bounce on ZS, off of the 50-day on that one. So let's see if we can try to work its way back over, do like an ABC type formation on that one. iRobot. Yep, so iRobot, tricky right here. Some old levels of, resistance, support. So it did hold that, but again, iRobot's a tricky one with options, so it's really got to set up pretty amazing on the daily chart. And Bank of America, pretty decent. Good volume on Friday, right? Hung in there pretty well. This is nice. The banks were strong. Generally had a nice push at the open. Nasty pullback, right? This could be wave one-ish type thing. Maybe pullback right here. We'll see. We'll see if the bank's gonna have any strength going forward, right? It's got room to get to the 200-day if it wants to. So good stuff. Thierry, what's going on? Good evening. So let's take a look at NEO. Hope you had a great weekend. So Neo had this horrible gap down to the 8-day moving average yesterday, and then an epic reversal up, and then it too gave kind of a big hanging manish type pattern on Tuesday. I'm sorry, on Wednesday, right? And then pushed itself down, right? Shooting star, and then some great fall through the downside, and then of course recovered here, around these prior resistance levels here. So we'll see how that holds as potential support and where we go from there. And then Mr. Softy, I know you put the Y there because Mr. Softy in your head, right? So Microsoft pretty interesting, right? It ended up closing below this geometrical over here. It did bounce off the cloud. It may consolidate for a little bit, try to work its way back up, and then like retest down. Then we'll see where it goes from there on Microsoft. So good stuff. So Celia, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. DSS. Let's take a look. Yeah, so document security. So pretty interesting stuff here. Again, a little bit of a kind of a triangle type move. I like the lower shadow off these levels. Again, this is a really kind of cheap, low volume type name, low flow. I'd be really careful trading this one. Definitely not an option player, but interesting bounce off of that one. Good stuff. Thanks, Celia. And then Umesh, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Big C. A lot of people talking about the Big C here recently. Again, IPO with earnings coming up pretty soon here. It's coming this week. I believe it's Wednesday after the close. So decent recovery on Friday. So let's see if they try to do a little earnings run on this one before its earnings report. So good stuff, guys. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate everybody for tuning in this evening. It was a great discussion on Elliott Wave. We're going to be going over some more intraday Elliott Wave charts this week that I think you guys will like, and point out some other cool intraday techniques that help capitalize on it. So I hope you guys found that helpful, and I hope everybody has a wonderful evening and is ready for a great trading week this week. So I hope everybody gets some good night's sleep. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you guys bright and early tomorrow where we put the fresh Good Morning Market Prep out. And thanks, Bagesh. I really appreciate it. If you're new here, definitely click subscribe on YouTube. We do this every market night, and whether you're new here or not, and if you're watching the recording, please hit the like button. It goes a long way. So everybody have a wonderful evening. Stay healthy out there, and remember your risk first, and stay safe.